Welcome, everybody, to the ninth class in this Bhagavad Gita study series, where we are studying the Bhagavad Gita in traditional Advaita Vedanta format, as it was taught by Shankaracharya, and it's been continued to be taught in the same tradition for over 1,000 years. And we especially are looking at it as a Yoga Shastra. So there are two um, uh, texts which can be considered Yoga Shastra. A Shastra is a authoritative text on a subject. So the Yoga Sutras, of course, is one, and the Bhagavad Gita is the second text. The Bhagavad Gita can be viewed from multiple angles. So we will see today in the final closing verse of every chapter, it will say, Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishadsu. It is Upanishad. It is a condensation of the Upanishads. Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam. It is a knowledge of the Brahman, which is the consciousness. Brahman is the consciousness. Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. It is the authoritative text on yoga. Then it says Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, the glorious dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. So that's how it ends. So that is how we are studying. We are studying it as in a traditional Advaita Vedanta format, as a Yoga Shastra, and we are also incorporating a lot of stories from the Mahabharata when and where possible to illustrate concepts better. So that's the format we've been following, and we are following the discourses of Swami Paramatmananda Saraswati, and we acknowledge his discourses for the traditional rendering of Vedanta, as was done for over 1,000 years in a very traditional format. So we'll start with a small chant. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Salutations to the lineage starting with Lord Sadashiva, with Adi Shankara in the middle, and continuing up to our immediate teacher, Swami Paramatmananda Saraswati. Okay, with this, we will pick up where we left last time. So we covered until 2.65, which is, this is actually a prelude to the third definition of yoga, which will be given in the 6th chapter. It says, when the tranquility of mind is achieved from meditation, then all the pains and sorrows disappear. So in the 6th chapter, it says, Tam vidya dukkha sanyogam viyogam yoga sanyitam sanishchayena yoktavya yogo nirvinna chetasa. So yoga is the dissociation of our association with pain and suffering, because the mind has a tendency to get into depression and things like this, and yoga removes all this. So that's one of the definitions. From that, we will go into the rest of the shlokas and the last portion on sthita prajna. Remember, in this chapter, first Arjuna surrenders, then Krishna gives him the greatest Atma Vidya, greatest knowledge, and Arjuna doesn't quite seem to get it. So Krishna tries other tactics. He calls his duty and he says, even if you don't believe this, if you think you're constantly being born and dying, don't worry about it. He tries all this. Nothing seems to work. Then he introduces karma yoga, the yoga where you engage in actions and purify your mind. And that is when it clicks for Arjuna. And he gets so curious. He wants to know, how is this person who has purified his mind through karma yoga look like? How does it, what's his language? How does he walk, sit, talk? So the rest of the shlokas is on the sthita prajna. Arjuna gives him the name, or him or her, sthita prajna, which means a person of steady wisdom. So 66th verse. Nasti buddhirayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nacha bhavayata shanti ashantasya kutas sukham. This is a very beautiful verse. So what it says is that um, there is no wisdom. Na asti means there is no. Buddhi. So here you have to interpret buddhi usually means intellect. Here you have to interpret it as wisdom. There is no wisdom for the ayuktasya. Yukta, the word literally means yoke. So the English word yoke also comes from the same root, yoga, yuj. It comes from yuj. Yuj means to unite or to yoke. So the English word also comes from that. So ayukta means one who is not yoked or one who is not steadfast. This person is a fickle minded person. So we saw vyavasayatmika, who's like steady business mind. I know I have to do this, I will do that. Whereas ayukta is a fickle minded. He or she is here, the next moment there, mind is going everywhere. So Krishna says there is no wisdom in the fickle minded. Nasti buddhir ayuktasya. Nacha ayuktasya bhavana. Cha is and. So, and there is no, na is no. There is no bhavana. Bhavana, the word literally means it is cultivation, or here cultivation of contemplation, or you can interpret it as meditation. That is the context it's used here. Nacha ayuktasya bhavana. There is no contemplation for this fickle-minded person. Nacha bhavayata shanti. For a person who doesn't have a meditative state, there is no peace of mind. Shanti is peace. Ashantasya kutas sukham. For a person who has no peace of mind, how can that person find happiness? So it's asking a question. Ashantasya kutas sukham. How can that person find happiness when there is no peace of mind? Okay. Now this is very important. So we saw that there are three characteristics of a yogi. The most important thing is the yogi's mind should be naturally drawn to meditation. So the mind should be steady, a meditative mind. That's one. Next is control of the senses. We saw Kurmasana, Kurma Avatara, right? So Yatha samharate chayam kurmongani iva sarvashaha. Like a tortoise withdrawing its limbs from all sides, a wise person withdraws the senses from the sense objects. So here again it says, beautiful example. So this I used to, when we come to the in yogasana, there's a navasana. Nava means boat. So I use this to illustrate symbolism of navasana. So indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nuvidiyate tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavamivambasi. Okay. Indriyani hi charatam. So the mind that follows in the wake of the wandering senses, it indeed carries away the discrimination of a person, just as the wind carries away a boat in the water. So charata means just move about. So indriyani hi charatan yen mano anuvidiyate. For who the indriyas just carry away, for who? A person whose mind anuvidiyate. Anu means like follow. So anuvidiyate means a mind which follows the senses. So tadasya harati prajnam, that person's discrimination is just snatched away. Harati, just forcefully snatched away. Tadas asya harati prajnam, that person's discrimination is snatched away. Like what? Vayur navam ivambasa. Nava means boat. So it's different from nava. Nava means 9. Nava is boat. Some people call it navasana. It's navasana. So it is a boat pose. Vayuhu navam iva ambasa in water, like the wind carrying away a boat in the water. Like that, the senses can carry away the discrimination of a person when the mind starts following the senses. So that is the it's a beautiful analogy. Okay. Okay. And therefore Krishna now slowly he's coming to the conclusion. Tasmadasya mahabaho nigruhitani sarvashah indriyani indriyartebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. So we've seen this word tasya prajna pratishtita many, many times. So it's very beautiful. That person's wisdom is established when so and so and so and so conditions are followed. Again and again and again, Krishna says this. So it's very beautiful. Tasya prajna pratishtita. It kind of rhymes for a lot of people. This rings in their mind. So that's why the shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita, the tune, the meter, everything it's used as mantras. So even sometimes these things will just pop up in your mind from somewhere, just the tune, everything, and that'll have the power to settle the mind. Okay, let's see what it means. Tasmad yasya mahabaho. Therefore, Mahabaho, Baho means arms. So Arjuna is being called as Mahabaho, one with mighty arms. So it's so powerful. So they both exchange these words. Krishna calls Arjuna Mahabaho, then Arjuna calls Krishna Mahabaho because they're both warriors, right? Krishna was also born in the Kshatriya class. Therefore, O mighty armed Arjuna, that person whose senses are completely restrained from sense objects. So Krishna uses the word indriyani indriyartebhyaha. Indriya means senses. Indriya artha means sense object. Artha means object um, of the senses. So sense objects. It can all the stuff around. That person whose senses are completely restrained from the sense objects is said to have a well-established wisdom. So, tasmat yasya, whose nigrihitani sarvashaha, nigrihitani is just whose restrained from all sarvasha, from all sides, whose what is restrained? The indriyani, the senses from the sense object. That person's wisdom is said to be well established. Is it understood? So that's how tasmat yasya, whose. So it is in poetry form, so everything is juxtaposed. It's kind of everywhere. So the correct way to read is yasya indriyani indriyartebhyah, whose senses from the sense objects nigrihitani, well restrained, sarvashaha, from all sides, tasya prajna pratishtita, that person's wisdom is said to be well established. So that's how we have to read. In poetry, it's kind of juggled around, and in Sanskrit, like German, it doesn't matter. We can put the object, subject everywhere. That's totally fine. Okay, so clear so far? Now comes very important shloka. So Shankaracharya, for all the important shlokas, and it's in a very cryptic form. So this is also considered a Granthi shloka. Remember, I told you about the Granthi. Granthi means knot. So even the chakras, they're all this Granthi, this Vishnu Granthi, Brahma Granthi, they all say these are all knots. So the Vyasa, when he was composing, he deliberately introduced these Granthi shlokas throughout Mahabharata. And Gita is right in the Mahabharata before the war. So you'll see a few Granthi shlokas there too. The reason is, according to the mythology, Ganesha. So he asks Ganesha to write down as he dictates. And Vyasa is composing in his mind. And Ganesha has this condition: I will take down notes, but you should not stop. Non-stop, you have to say, because I cannot uh, tolerate pauses. My time is very busy. So Vyasa, he needs the old man, poor man, he needs a break, right? So Vyasa comes up with this brilliant idea that he'll have these twisted verses which are not easy to understand. So Ganesha will think about it for a few minutes and then I will take a break. So that's why he introduces Granthi Shlokas, and he knows that there's only one person who will understand the Granthi Shlokas. That is his son Shukracharya, the most purest soul. Then there's one person who can probably understand. That is Sanjaya. Sanjaya is the assistant charioteer of Dhritarashtra. He is the one who's been given the divine eyesight to witness what's in the battlefield, even though he's sitting in the palace, and he narrates the Bhagavad Gita to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra is the blind king. Okay, this one, it's again twisted, like I said. Ya nisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. Nisha means night. Okay, ya nisha sarvabhutanam. What is night to all the beings? Tasyam jagarti samyami. That is awake state or daytime for the samyami. So there is a new word used, samyami. Samyami means one of even or controlled mind. So it refers to a yogi. And the second time, same, there's poetry, right? He doesn't want to use the same word. So he then uses the word muni. It also refers to a yogi, one whose mind is attains tranquility. And because in that tranquility, this person is clearly able to see all these facets of imagination. Okay. Yes. So the wise person is awake to the bright day, the knowledge of the Atma, which the rest of the beings regard as night. Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam. Nisha is night for all the beings. That is the day. Jagarti Samyami. That is the daytime. So what the for most of us is not important, that is important to the Muni, the Samyami, the yogi. Yasyam Jagarti Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Mune. Yasyam. What is awake state, what the rest of the beings regard as day, that is night for the Muni, the yogi. So the Muni yogi sees that as night. So what it says is that the rest of the beings, they see this body and materials, they're so obsessed with the body and materials of the world, that they take it to be like very real, even though they they don't understand that anytime our body can go away, our wealth can go away, but they're so attached. This we saw in the Yaksha Prashna too. So beings, they live as though they're going to live, even though live forever, even though all around there's every day millions and millions, thousands of people are dying, but they still go about as though they will live forever. So this is called Advaita versus Dvaita Jnanam. So when a, a Dvaita who's kind of sees things as different, sees waves in the ocean, the person sees this as, okay, waves different from ocean. But Advaitan, he sees just water everywhere. So we also saw the example of the two waves. There is one wave, the waves are all going towards the shore. And what happens? They crash at the shore and they pass off, right? There are two waves. One wave thinks so worried that it's going to go crash on the shore and die away. So it's so crying and all this. The wave next is not worried because it knows it's just water. And It'll, even if it crashes, it's just part of the water. So this is the Advaitic wave. The wave which is worried is the Dvaitic. Dvaita means seeing as separate. So that is the essence of this shloka. So a person of knowledge, they see the the consciousness behind. The others, they are so obsessed with the body, the wealth, and everything that they miss it. Okay, this is considered a very, very important shloka because he's now it's concluding, right? He is, Krishna is saying this conclusion of this. Okay, now comes a very, very important shloka. This is what I advertised before. Now, typically this question arises. So we're doing all the yogic practices. How do we know all this is working, especially for you? So asanas, people see, okay, I'm getting more flexible, I have more strength, all that. But meditation, um, it's very difficult even to just sit for some time and reading the scriptures when there are so many other things to do, parties to go to, all that. Where will I find the time to read the scriptures? Okay, and this is where Krishna gives like a benchmark. So if you meet this state, then you know all these practices are working. And what is that state? So very, very one of the most beautiful shlokas in the entire Bhagavad Gita. And it's quoted so often by Shankaracharya to represent the state of mind, the fulfillment that yogi gets. The yogi does not derive fulfillment from the external world, but the deep sense of meditation, the calmness that one has, that is where the yogi derives the satisfaction. Okay. Apuryamanamachala pratishtam samudramapa pravishanti yatvat tatvat kamanyam pravishanti sarve sa shantimapnoti na kamakami. So Krishna here uses a beautiful word, kamakami. It refers to the desirer of desires. So just as the ocean remains full and in stillness, apuryamanam. So purna is full. Apurya. So here in Sanskrit, you have to know the distinction between a and a. So avidya means lack of knowledge. Vidya means great knowledge. Sura means one who has drunk the divine nectar. So this person has very sattvic mind. Devas are called suras. The gods, they are called suras. Suras means those who have not drunk the divine nectar. Sura. So they have bad qualities. So asura means those who have bad qualities. Now there's a great a rishi, a poet called Asura. So it's not Asura, it is Asura. This person has had so much of this divine nectar, he has such sattvic state of mind. So is different from, even in the Yoga Sutras, Viveka Kyate. So means great, Viveka Kyate means discrimination, intellectual discrimination. So Viveka Kyate. So Puryamanam. So great first fulfillment. First, when so what Apuryamanam, Achala Pratishtam, not shaking. Achala means not moving, still. The ocean remains full and in stillness. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam, just pratishtha, established. Samudram apa pravishanti yatvat. Pravishanti means enter. Like, see in this picture, you see all the rivers entering the ocean, and the ocean remains tranquil in stillness, right? So apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudram apapravishanti yatvat, like yatvat, like apaha, waters, that is rivers, entering pravishanti, entering the ocean, tatvat kaman yam pravishanti sarve, like we are being bombarded by desires from all sides, but the yogi, his mind is still, is not casted about by the entrance of the desires. Tatvat kaman yam pravishanti sarve, that person sa shantim apnoti, this yogi whose mind is not perturbed, just like the ocean remaining still when waters enter, when the all these desires enter this yogi's mind is not perturbed. Sa shantim apnoti, this person attains shanti, peace, not a desirer of desires. Kama kami, powerful word he's using, not an ordinary desirer, a desirer of desires. I want that desire. I want to taste this thing. I want to taste this sense of high I get. This is what the desirer of desire goes about. Okay. Any questions here? आपूर्यमाणमचलप्रतिष्ठम् समुद्रमापप्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तत्त्वत्कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. Okay, then we will go to last but one shloka. So Krishna, he is now wrapping up the entire Sthita Prajna topic. So this is the last verse of the Sthita Prajna, and finally he'll conclude the second chapter with the final verse. Vihaya kaman yat sarvan pumamscharati nisprihaha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashantimadigacchati. Okay. Having given up all the binding desires, pumam means that person. Pumam's charati nisprihaha, the person who moves about free from longing. So sparsha means touch. Sprihaha means you kind of desire to touch everything. So it's like longing. Okay. So nisprihaha is a person who moves about free from longing. And nirmamo nirahankaraha, and this person doesn't have a sense of free from a sense of I and mine. Nirmama, mama means I, ahankara is like ego, so mine, possession. Nirmamo nirahankara sa shantim adhigacchati. So gachati means goes to, adhigacchati like attains. Just it's adi, it's kind of a prefix to emphasize this word. Okay. So vihaya kam, vihaya means giving up. Kama, all this kama refers to binding desires. Desire itself is not bad, but kama has this connotation of like lust, craving, all these connotation it has. So vihaya kaman yet sarvan, from all sides. Pumam, this person, Pumam's person. Charati nispriha. Charati means moves about in this world, free from nispriha, free from longing, and without a sense of I and mine. This person attains peace. So with this, he concludes the Sthita Prajna topic. Okay. Then the last shloka of this chapter. एषा भ्राम्यस्थितिः पार्थ नैनां प्राप्य विमुह्यति स्थित्वास्यमन्तकालेऽपि ब्रह्मनिर्वाणमृच्छति. So Krishna says, this is the state of the Brahman. Having known this one is the infinite consciousness, then when the person has reached the state, Esha, this is the state of the Brahman. Esha Brahmi Sthiti. Sthiti is place, position. This is the state of the Brahman, O Partha. Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati. Having attained this, one is not deluded anymore. Na enam Prapya Vimuhyati. Having Prapya, having attained, there is no more vimuhyati, so there is no more delusion. Stitva, and being established, Stitva, being established, antakale api, even in this lifetime, the end of this life, Brahma Nirvanam Mrichati. So this person attains liberation into Brahman, even at the end of this life alone. No more rebirth, nothing. Once this knowledge, so very clearly it says this knowledge is what is going to give liberation. So this is the very important shloka, because very clearly he says this is how you get liberation. Actions, karma, we saw that, right? Karma yoga, everything prepares the mind, but this knowledge is what gives the liberation. And Brahman is the supreme God without qualities. Consciousness is what it's called. And he says, here and now, in this lifetime itself, you can get liberation. You don't need to go through several lifetimes. Once the prarabdha is over, you're ready. Okay, so that is the last shloka, and this is how every chapter concludes. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyodhyayah. In the glorious Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is a Upanishad, Brahma Vidya, knowledge of the Brahman, Yoga Shastra, an authoritative text on yoga, Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade, that glorious dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, titled Sankhya Yoga, the second chapter ends. So that's what it means. Okay. So let me stop the recording here.